We have to fund all these programs that the people demand. One of those programs that was passed in the 2001 regular session was the governor's children's plan.
Right.
Who is demanding this plan?
Well, agency people were demanding that plan. I served on the committee, you know, that heard initially that this was what they were headed for, and of course that's the Health and Human Services Committee, but also you know, the Department of Ed, almost every state agency, including your local school district, would be participating in gathering data on the children and their family. That children's plan was probably the most intrusive piece of legislation I've ever seen, and the sad part is that research I've done just recently indicates that most of the components are still in place, that they're still continuing to do this. The only thing you don't have is the central assembly of all the data. And it's a really Orwellian sounding piece of legislation. Well,
I was at the, I did some filming down at Roseburg when Christines were on trial. When
right.
The father acted like a father and a husband and took his children back at gunpoint.
Right.
And a lot of the people that were there expressed concern about the children's plan, you know, fear actually. Should the parents of Oregon be afraid of this plan that was passed by the governor?
I believe they should be. We've had enough experience with the agencies and with their desire to get information and what they do with it. I'm very nervous on behalf of parents. I have children of my own who are, you know, now having children or adopting, and I worry for them because what you're finding is ever more intrusion and inspection of the home in order to be able to meet the qualifications of the government. But you and I remember just a few years ago when we had a young man who was the product of the Oregon alternative education, alternative children raising, and that was he was raised institutionally. He was taken from his parents and put into an Oregon foster system. And if you remember what he said to us, and I thought that was one of those things that you remember forever, and he said, the worst parent in the state is the state of Oregon. Yeah. The worst parent. And what he was encouraging us is that, you know, please, why don't you do things to help families rather than hinder? Now, they would tell us that this is all to help the children, to help the families. But several people that I know personally who have had the visit in the hospital when the mother delivered the baby were very concerned about the questions that were being asked. In fact, one of them, you even know who I'm going to be referring to, they asked her, well, now, what education level do you have? And she said, a degree in law from the University of Oregon. And she had just delivered her baby, and so she didn't look like, you know, a person with a law degree from the University of Oregon. But that was the condescending attitude, you know, that she experienced. In fact, that was right here in a Salem hospital, because Marion County was one of the first counties to participate in this effort.
Now, did the bureaucrat who was asking her all these questions about her education and her level of income and all these things, did she volunteer before she asked the question, tell her who she was?
No, she did not. In fact, the person believed that she was being questioned by hospital staff, only to find out that it wasn't. And finally, she said, when she became suspicious, "Who are you and what are you doing?" And but most people won't do that. You know, the mother is maybe you know, had some medication during the delivery, and so she may not know what's happening. The father is probably not there in order to say, gee, I don't think I want our family answering questions like this. The main thing, though, is this is going to be prior to the delivery of the child and then tracking that family and that child from that point on. And it's just an amazing piece of legislation. First of all, to think about how expensive that would be to track every family in Oregon that's going to have children.
Yeah. I remember watching Kate Brown and Kevin Sterrett have a little discussion during that, and Kate Brown made the comment that what they're looking for is bruises. Is that the game plan of the state to take away children that get bruised?
Well,
a child that gets bruised?
My grandson right now would be gone because he is a boy, and because he's out, you know, and he loves to be outside, and so he gets bruises. He's about 18 months now, and children fall down. And of course, my son-in-law is a police officer, and he's very much aware of that. They have a visit that's going to occur sometime this week from Services Children and Family because of the fact that this child is adopted. And it's the final inspection of their home. This is a model of what probably every family, non-adoptive family, would be going through. If you have your own, if you bear your own children, you'll be going through a similar process eventually. The scary part about this, the frightening aspect of this is now, as I shared with you before we went on the air, I was told today by a person in Health and Human Services that this is now the model for the United States, that they're talking about the federal government setting up a national program to track every family and every child.
So, with the condition of the economy and the governor saying we don't have enough money, how come this plan can't be cut?
Well, a lot of the pieces were already in place, and it was amazing. You remember we were talking about a $60 million program, and what's amazing is that with the knowledge that the economy was turning downward, the legislature added between $300 and $500 million, depending on how you look at them, $300 to $500 million worth of brand new programs. $500 million worth, you know. I mean, you have to stop and not say that so fast and have everybody think about $500 million of new programs when you knew the economy was turning downward. But there was extreme resistance during the special sessions to cutting anything from these new programs, particularly this program, which you and I both know the cost of these in the long term. This type of investigation and databasing and all of this sort of thing, this could be an immensely, tremendously expensive. And of course, it's another mandate upon school districts because they're going to be part of tracking those children. So it isn't going to be the SIM and the CAM now. It's going to be, you're going to be tracking for the children's program.